Today we are talking about the EPZ G20 Pro IEMs. These are stated to be hi-fi IEMs meant for gaming and music listening, priced in the mid to lower mid range. Do these hold up to the promises made by the sales page? Let's find out. Before we begin, these IEMs were sent to me by the company, so thank you to EPZ for that, but that will not affect my opinions or statements in this video. I will clarify that I am reviewing the Pro version of the G20s and not the standard version. There appear to be a decent few differences, but I will not be comparing them in this video, since I do not have the standard pair myself at this time. There seem to be more differences than I feel comfortable covering purely based on the sales material. But let's get started. Let's talk briefly about the packaging and the accessories because this is kind of interesting here. The unit comes very well packaged, having great protection and presentation. A lot of the designs have an iridescent-like finish, shining rainbow-like colors in the light. The IEMs are seated in quality foam as well as the other contents to protect the units and their accessories. The box itself has a magnet clasp, which is a little fancy. It also shows a lot of the specs on it, including the frequency response graph. It's actually a little annoying that they do have the graph printed on there, but they don't have the graph listed in their sales material as far as I could find. It would be nice to know that information before buying the product, but oh well. The instructions came in this fancy envelope with iridescent print, and the envelope also has this anime girl card with a little iridescent text on the back. I don't really know what you're supposed to do with this. Maybe it's a pinup so you can put it up somewhere and look at it. Maybe it's just marketing material, I guess. The overall contents of the package are the IEMs and their cable, a USB-A male to USB-C female extension cable, a USB-A male to USB-C female adapter, detachable headset microphone, quality control badge, storage bag, and sets of large, medium, and small size silicone ear tips. A strange thing that happened packaging-wise was when I took the product out of the external shipping box, it was a decent challenge to do so. First of all, the product box fits basically perfect in the shipping box, which is good for shipping, but a challenge for removal. But on top of that, there was a little hole in the shipping box that looks purposefully made. This allowed a sticker from the outside of the shipping box to stick to the product box inside, making the product removal all the more challenging due to the adhesion. But also, I have never really seen a company do this before, and it was kind of a strange oddity to see. I don't know if this was a strange one-off occurrence for me, or if this is a regular practice for EPZ, but frankly, it's a little strange. Now let's get the construction and additional features out of the way. These IEMs are constructed using medical-grade resin 3D printing materials and build techniques. This allows for high-precision manufacturing of their complex one-size-fits-all shape. At least that's what the marketing says, but I have no reason to dispute those claims. The Pro version of the G20s come in two colors, gray and orange. Honestly though, the colors don't really matter too much on IEMs since they are usually not very visible, and especially if you have longer hair like me or other things on your head area that block the sight of them anyway. The internals are supposedly made with a 10mm LCP and PU driver, as well as it includes a high-resolution DAC chip that is supposed to provide a lossless hi-fi audio. I again don't have a way to confirm those claims, but I also still don't have a reason to argue with them either. The main cord on the Pros is a braided dual silver plated design with a good average length. It also comes with a Velcro tie for storage, but also comes with an extension cord that is also supposedly dual silver plated that has a length of just under 5 feet. This cord also adapts the USB-C connection to USB-A. With the included accessories, this system is locked to USB for connection to devices. Though the cord for the IEMs is detachable and uses the standard 2-prong 0.78mm socket and pin design. These IEMs have a female socket design on the body, and the socket is basically flush with the surface of the IEMs. I talked with the company, and the reason for the USB-C connection is some of the internal features like their DSP tuning software and storage capability, as well as the microphone support. But they said that as long as the cord is compatible with the connections to the IEMs, that you could replace the cord and use a standard 3.5mm auxiliary style connection. Though they also said that even if you saved a tuning profile to the IEMs notes, which we'll talk about later, that the equalization would not work or would not be in effect when using the other chords for some reason, and the sound generally may not be produced as intended. I do not have the chords to try this out, so let me know in the comments if you would be interested in seeing me try that out and see exactly what happens. The included chord does have an inline control system. It has a strip button that raises and lowers the volume, as well as it can play or stop media with the center of the strip button. It also has a switch for the microphone options we are going to talk about in a bit. One thing that is a little annoying about this unit's cord is that even though it does have an inline control system, the company puts it at the average position and length that most earbuds would have it. This isn't too much of a problem honestly, but it does kind of go against the IEM design. IEMs are meant to go in your ears, wrap around them, and then go down your back. If you want to use the control module, it's a bit strange and cumbersome, especially that my hair gets in the way further. So instead, you have to more logically put the cord in front of you. It doesn't really hinder the design too much, but it does go against one of the fundamental reasons behind the IEM design. Then on one of the connectors that go to the IEMs, there is another socket. This is for a headset style boom microphone to be attached and removed. The switch on the cord switches between the microphone options. The top, switching towards you, activates the headset microphone. The middle activates the inline microphone, and the bottom mutes the microphones. The removable microphone sound quality is decent, though it may be prone to picking up every little sound you make, including annoying little mouth sounds and such. The inline microphone sounds about how you would expect if you have used one of these before. I wouldn't recommend using it for most applications, but it works in a pinch. One problem with using the mic systems on this unit is that pressing the inline control buttons causes decent audio spikes on both microphones. These audio spikes are quite a bit louder than the average output from the microphones when speaking normally, at least in my experience. So if you plan to use these functions while talking to someone, while also using one of these included microphone systems, the other person may not want to talk to you for long, unfortunately. Now let's talk about how important it is to use the right sized ear tips. Even if the first tips you try feel fine, you may be able to get better results with a different size. Skip ahead if you already know about this. I started with the medium-sized ear tips. These are what I did my first testing with, and while the sound was good, I did experience discomfort. I didn't have a proper full seal on my ear canal, and the IEMs occasionally tried to slip out of my ears, which kind of goes hand in hand with the seal issue. So to combat the slipping and seal issue, I moved to the large size. I honestly don't know if this solved the discomfort and or slipping issue because the sound was tinny and telephonic with these ear tips, almost like listening to everything through a phone call. So I stopped using this size pretty quickly. This was because the ear tips were simply too big. There was a horrible seal and there was too much of the sound escaping my ears. My glass slipper size was actually the smallest size, which got the best seal in my case and caused further improvements to the sound quality compared to the medium ear tips I ended up doing some of my testing with. So remember kiddos, size does matter, but bigger isn't always better. Unfortunately, these do still slip out of my ears occasionally, but that may come down to the silicone ear tips compared to memory foam ear tips, and possibly, something to do with my genetics and how my ears work as well. Before we talk about my experience using these and how they sounded, I want to mention that even if you aren't completely satisfied with the sound signature of the IEMs, like lightly stated before, they do have an option to try and adjust it. On Android phones, they have an app, but unfortunately on iOS and computers, you have to use an online browser-based system. This does also make you make an account to use the tuning. Once logged in, they have a pretty comprehensive equalizer system, giving you 8 control bands and basically full control of each of them. You can change the frequency or position center, you can change the Q or the width of the tone, boost, or cut, you can input exact values for the gain or volume as well as you can use the sliders, and finally you can select what kind of EQ shape/type you would like for each band. For some reason, the high shelf type is not selectable on my system on any of the bands, but the low shelf is available across the board. One warning when adjusting the EQ types and bands affect each other, so if you massively boost one band and then do the same for the band right next to it, you may get too much boost on the first band adjusted. The program also comes with some default EQ curves to enhance your experience listening to music, movies, and a few games. Though I don't play or don't like any of the games listed, so I don't know how well the gaming enhancements actually work. The hi-fi music setting is a bit strange in my opinion. I don't know exactly what it's kind of going for, but the preset starts to dip in the mids and take some decent cuts to the highs. To me, this setting just makes a song overall quieter, the vocals fade in the mix a bit more, and naturally there's less energy from the cymbals and the click of a bass drum. I listen to mainly rock and metal, so overall it's not really the way that I would prefer to listen to music. To me, it just kind of seems like it muffles a song, but it may work for somebody. For the most part, I didn't really use the equalizer tool because the IEMs just generally sounded good to me. But for the sake of the video, I did make a music exciter EQ curve, but unfortunately I lost it. Once you create a custom EQ setting, you should be able to save it, but that function currently doesn't work at the time of this recording. This is because EPZ is working on overhauling their EQ curve tool, and unfortunately this function is not working at the moment. They said that the update is expected to roll out within the week as of August 9th, 2026, and then the issue should be resolved. Once the save function is available again, I will try to work on recreating this EQ curve and upload it to the sharing function for you to try out if you pick up a set of these IEMs yourself. You can also look at other people's shared EQ curves and share your own. There should be a search function in the new update. Hopefully in the update you will be able to look up EQs by profiles, but currently it only allows for the searching of titles of the EQ curves. So look up Music Exciter and look for my profile to try it out when it's available. I designed this curve to add bass so that you get more of that air movement and rumble feeling from the low end, and it enhanced the high end to add a bit more glass or sparkle to the songs. I modeled the curve using primarily metal music, so it may not work for some genres, but it worked with every song in the metal, rock, and alternative genres that I threw at it. I just hope I can recreate it. This style of EQ is what most consumer listening devices go for because this EQ curve generally makes music more pleasant and exciting to people, hence the name. The IEMs also should be able to save your tuning to the IEMs themselves, so you don't have to run the app at all times while using the IEMs the way you like. I honestly am not 100% sure on how to do that at this time though. I believe if you press the apply button to the presets, they may be able to store that curve adjustment, but I do not believe you can store your custom curve at this time due to that save error currently occurring. Now, what everyone has been waiting for. How do they sound? I first tested IEMs by playing a few games and using the medium ear tips. Firstly, I played Darkwood with them. This is a top-down horror survival game, so sound quality is important for immersion, and being able to tell what direction sounds are coming from is a must. Even though I couldn't get a proper seal on my right ear, the sound was pretty great. Everything sounded tense and immersive, from the low rumbly horror drones to the crack of nearby branches. But I also have to say that the 360-degree directional audio was pretty impressive. I could pinpoint audio direction perfectly, which is pretty impressive for in-ear style listening. I don't know if this tech has just gotten better so that it's more common to be better, but there are some systems I have heard that are working with a lot more hardware that do this a lot worse. Next, I played a game called Trepang 2, still with the medium ear tips. This is an action game with a great accompanying soundtrack and occasional horror elements. This game allows the IEMs to demonstrate their versatility and show that they have a nice balance of sound. Combining the occasional horror ambience and intense action with a good soundtrack, every sound and note was crisp as well as the spoken dialogue. The final test I had for these was online gaming. This test has to have the system relay not only the game audio well, but also my friend's unprocessed speech as well. The first few times I tried using these IEMs for online play, I was using the wrong ear tips, so I was getting poor results. After getting the right tips on, frankly, everything was great. My friends like to play Overwatch 2, so I played that with them. The sounds can be kind of chaotic sometimes in this game, but like before, the definition and directionality were great. I could of course hear my friends just fine, but the communications intelligibility may just come down to audio level mixing, since these IEMs do seem to have at least a close to transparent or accurate sound signature. At least, of course, their EQ is well balanced as stated before. We also played Minecraft for a bit, which again, this really showed off the 360-degree sound well. Normally I have a bit more trouble when trying to find caves in this game by listening to what direction the sounds of bats and other creatures are coming from while tunneling. I don't know if I was just luckier this time around or if these really did help that much, but it didn't take me long to find the caves and tunnels using this technique while using these IEMs. From here, there isn't much more to say. For the music side of things, they just sound good and all the instruments are intelligible. I've heard details that I've never heard before in songs that I've listened to many times before, but I'm usually using average computer speakers with a decent sound, so that may be the partial reason for that. Either way, they're great for general listening too, in my experience at least. Overall, these IEMs seem amazing for the value. They are not the most affordable IEMs I've seen, but for the results, I think the price they are asking for is very reasonable compared to some of the high-end and name brand options. I may end up just buying an auxiliary style cord regardless of viewer desire to see how well they work for musical applications. I would also be curious to see how well audio engineering mixing a song would be with these, because headphone/in-ear mixing has been a nut the audio industry has been trying to crack for years. So get subscribed and hit the notification bell for updates on these if I get around to doing those tests. If you are interested in trying these IEMs out, there will be affiliate links in the description. Using it helps me out and adds no cost to you. If you found the video helpful in any way, please leave a like and consider subscribing. There are also other one-time ways to support me down in the description if you're feeling generous. That's all I have to say for now, so I'm gonna say bye-bye.